Hey friends, thanks so much for joining me today. We need to talk about scrap management and how to lay out a project on the lumber you have to make it the best at conserving your scrap and waste. All right, folks, so lumber is not cheap. Lumber can be pretty expensive, and different types of lumber can be really expensive depending on what you get and what you want out of that lumber. So it's really important that you lay out your lumber to conserve your scrap so you could possibly use it for something else. Maybe you can make a small little project out of that scrap, or maybe you don't have to buy as much lumber if you're conserving how you're going to cut it out. So the first thing you need to do when you look at a board, what do I need out of it? Do I need it to be this thick, or do I have to plane it down? So if I have this board and I need to plane it down, I could look at this and say, well, I'm not going to be able to use this or this. But if we reduce the thickness of it, this wide spot of good usable board becomes wider. So the thing here might not be to cut it first, it might be to plane it down, increasing the width here, getting us more of a usable piece. So as you can see on the side here, if we plane this down to 3/4, we'd probably be now maybe into here of actual usable lumber, instead of way back here where we're saying, well, we can't use it all the way back into here. So maybe think about planing it down before you cut it, depending on what you have. Another tip, if you have a board, you never want to make your cut in the middle of the board and leave scrap on the ends. You want to push that cut all the way to your edges, so that way maybe some of this can be saved, maybe a lot of this can be saved, where if you would cut it in the middle, you take a piece out of that middle, you'd have this is waste and this is waste. So you'd buy all that lumber and then it would just be for naught. So always make your cuts off of the end and off of the side so you can keep some of that cut off for an actual usable project. The final thing on scrap management I'd like to talk about is making sure you have it all laid out before you do any cutting. That way you don't go ahead and cut something, put it together and realize, oh no, it needed to be just a little bit longer. So make sure you lay out your pieces before you do any cutting. That way you can see maybe that piece needs to be just a little bit longer. Maybe that edge, I drew it out a little bit shorter. That way you can see exactly what's going to happen and you can mitigate any possible problems before you make the cuts and just waste a piece. So number one, start your pieces on the edge and on the side. Number two, look to see if you can plane it down first and get more of that board that's usable. And number three, lay it all out before you do any cutting so you can stop any problems that you may be putting into that beforehand. Hey, thanks so much for watching, folks. Thanks for the view. Remember to work hard, because hard work is its own reward. Work hard not only physically, but work hard mentally. Do the hard work so that way the labor part of it is easy. Thanks so much for watching.